what up, boxing fans, and welcome back to the Saved by the Bell podcast with my co-host H and myself, Dark Side of the Moon. In today's episode, we're going to be covering the weekend roundup, recapping all the fights that's happened over the weekend and the re-end season card. We're also going to be talking about what's upcoming and also a roundup of the rest of the year. But before we get into all of that, how you doing, H? And what did you make of this fantastic weekend we had?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you for asking me, Dark Side. Boy, it was an absolute amazing weekend of boxing. Probably one of the best nights to end off the year. You know what I mean? We started 2024 with a bang, and we most definitely finished 2024 with a blockbuster. So how can you complain? As a sports fan, as a combat sports fan, as a boxing fan, this was the cherry on top of the pie.
Yes.
I enjoyed myself. Honestly, it was great fights from the build-up to the promo, to seeing the arena, to seeing Ring Magazine come back, to seeing Turkey O'Shea doing his thing. Many celebrities turned up for this event. It just gave it that premium, deluxe feeling. You know what I mean? It felt like class. It felt like top level entertainment, as well as the boxing and the fighters itself. The whole package was just absolutely perfect. Do you know what I mean? Just quickly on that, I want to ask you, what did you think of the whole 21st? What did you make of it? Besides the fights, the whole arena, the whole build-up, the whole shebang, the whole show, the way it was put down, the way it was presented. Just quickly, briefly, what did you think of that?
I thought it was absolutely brilliant. It's really a level up, you know. There's certain levels when it comes to like fights. You've got the small hall fights, then you've got the medium-sized fights, something like an O2 Arena or something like that, and then you've got the big scale fights. And this was just a level even above that, where it's like you just got some of the biggest celebrities from all across the world coming to watch the event, and they put it on like something that's really classy. It's boxing, but it's also really classy. You know, they even arranged like a gala night during the week, and they had speeches and stuff like that, and it looked so professional and so classy. That's all I can say about it. It almost reminded me of people at the Oscars or some kind of award ceremony or something like that. So yeah, I enjoyed the whole week, not just the boxing itself.
I totally agree, man. Now let's get on to the fight itself. So we're gonna do a review. This is Saved by the Bell podcast. We don't sugarcoat nothing here. You know what I mean? We don't kiss ass to nobody. We keep it real. You know what I mean? This is the
100%.
realest. This is the realest podcast that you will hear. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Now let's get the show cracking with Isaac Lowy versus Lee McGregor. Now, quickly and briefly, I'll tell you how my thoughts on this fight was. I mean, this was a classic featherweight bout. So Isaac Lowy versus Lee McGregor. This was a classic featherweight bout. It was action-packed, back and forth. The pace was kept consistent during the whole fight. I mean, body shots, head shots. What more could you ask for? This was a classic fight. Of course, now the levels were different. The levels were different in the skills between Lee McGregor and Isaac Lowy. For Isaac Lowy, it was a bad night in the office. He couldn't get his rhythm. He couldn't get to the Lee McGregor. Lee McGregor was obviously always one step ahead of Isaac Lowy. Do you know what I mean? When it comes to landing the cleaner shots, when it comes to landing combination shots, Lee McGregor was always one step ahead of Isaac Lowy. And not to mention the fact that Isaac Lowy got 2 points deducted for... Now his gum shot kept coming out. You know what I mean? Now I don't know what it was. If he was at first I was thinking, what's he doing? How can you spit your gum shot out this amount of times? You know what I mean? And You know what? Before we get into that, big up to the referee, because you don't see many referees like this in the sport of boxing. This referee, I forgot his name, but he was not having it. Anytime these boys were getting into a clinch and it was getting a bit rough and dirty, he's breaking it up. Say, yo, back up. This is boxing. If you wanted to do that, you go to UFC. This is boxing. Keep it clean, keep it classy, and that's it. So that big up to the referee. Now, do I believe the referee made the right decision by deducting the point from Isaac Lowy. You know what? After the consistent amount of times that Isaac Lowy was spitting the gum shield out or it was falling out unintentionally, yeah, I believe it was in the referee's right decision to deduct the points. I think the 1 point was deducted in round 9 and one was deducted in round 10, if I'm not mistaken. But even if the points were not deducted, I still would have believed Lee McGregor did enough to win this fight. You saw by round 9, end of round 9, when Isaac Lowy went back to his corner, he was frustrated. He was kicking up a fuss. He was like, rah, rah. It was clear that this fight was not going in his favor. This fight, he was out of depth. You know what I mean? The water was too deep, and he had no life vest. He had no life vest, no safety. He was drowning. And by the time he's realized, he's already at the bottom of the ocean. So there's no going back now. Do you know what I mean? But anyways, let me ask you quickly and swiftly, what did you make of this fight?
Well, you know what? I have to start actually first with Isaac Lowy, because I think he actually put a better performance than I thought he was going to do. He did actually throw hands a lot more than he normally does, and he did come for a fight. But on the gum shield thing coming out, I think what he was doing, what is normally considered a veteran boxer's move, is spitting out the gum shield at a right time to buy yourself extra seconds in the fight, when maybe you're a little bit stunned or a little bit rocked and you need extra time from your knockdown to recover. You spit your gum shield out, you do it once, you recover, and then you get back to boxing. The problem was, I think there was a total of 5 times his gum shield came out. So after the first time, the ref's already going to be looking at it from the second time. Then it happens a third time. It's like, all right, 3 times, you're getting a point off. Then it happened another 2 times after that. And it's like, I believe that the last time, and maybe even the second to last time, it was unintentional. I think he was just gasping for air so much that his mouth was open when he got hit with a good shot. Then the gum shield came out. But let me just speak about the fight. I think overall, it was a good fight. Lee McGregor does what Lee McGregor does, landed the better and cleaner shots, like you said. He did land some very nice uppercuts through the middle during the fight as well, which I was very impressed with. So overall, on to bigger and better things for Lee McGregor in the future.
Most definitely, man. I mean, listen, for Isaac Lowy, it's back to the dressing room. It's back to the drawing board, sorry, should I say. And obviously, I'm sure he's going to have words with his team, see what the future holds for him. For Isaac Lowy, we're going to see some colorful things, and he's got a bright future ahead of him. I'm pretty sure of that. Anyways, let's move on. We're keeping this review in order of the fights. So the next one is going to be a bit controversial. It's a lot of drama behind the results. It's people are split on the decision itself. But anyways, let's get onto it. So we've got Johnny Fisher versus Dave Allen. Now, the build-up was, damn, Dave Allen he's done out here. He's going to get slaughtered. Johnny Fisher, rising star, he's going to get rid of Dave Allen with ease, blah, blah, blah. But now, come to the actual fight, it was total opposite to what everybody had in mind. Do you know what I mean? I mean, first couple of rounds, I say about from round 1 to round 4, early round 4, it was Johnny Fisher all day long. You know what I mean? Johnny Fisher was landing punches, throwing combinations. At times, I was thinking, fucking hell, mate, don't gas yourself out this early. You know what I mean? Shane McGuigan was on the commentary. Shane McGuigan was saying, damn, Johnny Fisher should just land jabs, 1-2 shots. Don't get too excited for the combos. Don't get too excited for the knockout. Just land 1-2 shots. Let Dave Allen start throwing back, and then you start landing your bombs and knock him out. You know what I mean? Instead of trying to throw punches where someone's guard is up, and you know what I mean? Anyways, from round 4 onwards, it was Dave Allen. Round 4 came, Dave Allen started to get in the rhythm. Dave Allen started throwing that dangerous overhand right. You know what I mean? And we saw what happened. He dropped Johnny Fisher. Now, I don't believe that it was the most serious knockdown. I don't believe it was the most cleanest knockdown, but a knockdown is a knockdown. And you saw Johnny Fisher was wobbled.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And even by the time Johnny Fisher got up, he was uneasy. His legs were wobbly. Do you know what I mean? The commentary was like, hey, 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 Johnny Fisher's gone. But obviously that boy has got minerals. He's got bollocks. You know what I mean? Johnny Fisher
Yeah.
has got minerals because even though he was wobbled, he still stood there. He still threw bangs. He may not have won the rounds because I gave it round 4 to round 9. No, round 5 to round 9, Dave Allen.
Yeah. I had about the same.
And then come to round 10, I don't know what's happened. Dave Allen must have thought in it. He must have thought, Dave Allen must have thought that he was winning the fight because come round 10, he took his foot off the gas. He completely took his foot off the gas. Maybe he was gassed out. Maybe he was tired. Maybe he was fatigued. Only Dave Allen would know. But from our point of view, he took off the foot. He took off the foot off the gas at the wrong time. This is the last round. This is what the judges are gonna remember. You know what I mean? And he took his foot off at the wrong time. And then obviously I gave round 10 to Johnny Fisher because I believe Johnny Fisher did more than Dave Allen. But now let's take a look at this now, Dark Side. Round 1 to round 4, it was Johnny Fisher. Round 5 to round 9, it was Dave Allen. Round 10 was Johnny Fisher. Now we got to count the knockdown that Dave Allen scored on Johnny Fisher as well. Come to the calculations. But before that, I want to ask you, what was your thoughts on this fight?
Good timing. Well, my thoughts on the fight were, I think it was a good fight overall. Like you said, Johnny Fisher, he won't back down. He's going to come forward. He's going to throw his shots. But I think you were right. I actually noticed the same thing early on in the fight. I thought he's throwing far too many shots. The more shots you throw, the more your arms become tired from throwing too many shots. And you generate more power if you just hold your arms back a little bit and just pop shot and then wait for the right moments to land the bombs. But I think this is where Dave Allen's experience actually came into play. There's two things we have to factor in. Number one, Dave Allen has a very impressive chin. He took some incredible shots from Johnny Fisher and said no and just kept coming forward. And he soaked up all Johnny Fisher's pressure for the first 4 rounds. And then he started to unload the bombs. And I have to be honest with you, like, I was thinking, what is going on here? Dave Allen is really rolling back the years here all of a sudden. It's like he's reliving his sparring memories and it's all happening all over again. And yeah, I just thought that Dave Allen put out really, really impressive performance overall. But getting to the decision, we'll get back to you on that.
Most definitely. Now let's get back onto the judges' scorecard. Now the judges scored the fight. I wrote it down as well, so I made sure I've got it properly. The judges gave the first judge gave Johnny Fisher 95-94. The second judge gave 96-93 to Dave Allen. And the last judge gave 95-94 to your winner, Johnny Fisher. Now, here's where the controversy comes into play. People are saying that Johnny Fisher only won because he is the superstar. He is Eddie Hearn's boy. The only reason Johnny Fisher won this fight is because he is a ticket seller.
Yeah.
Now, this is boxing and it's also a business.
Yeah.
Now, in my personal opinion, this fight should have been a draw. Or it should have been given to Dave Allen.
I think Dave Allen nicked it, in my opinion.
It's either a draw or Dave Allen. But from the decision that's happened already, we've given Johnny Fisher the win. I believe that's a wrong decision. I'm a big Johnny Fisher fan, but I believe it was a wrong decision. Now, I believe the reason they gave Johnny Fisher the win is because he's a ticket seller.
Yeah.
Now, who are you going to give the victory to? Someone that can sell tickets and bring you money, or someone you give the victory to that don't bring in money and don't sell tickets? Do you know what I mean? It's a business end of the day. They're going to lean towards the guy who sells tickets and who's doing his thing. You know what I mean? So it's a business. I kind of get it. They done Dave Allen wrong, because even if Dave Allen won, what's next for him?
Exactly.
Even if Dave Allen won, what's next for him? Who's he going to fight next? He's not going to become champion. He's not going to go chase the titles. What's next for him? Do you know what I mean? It don't make any sense. But obviously, That's what I thought. I thought Dave Allen won this fight. But worst come to worst, it should have been a draw. But
Yeah.
anyways, quickly ask you your thoughts on that judges' scorecard.
Yeah, my thoughts on the scorecard was, I have to be honest, I was quite shocked. I seem to remember seeing a poll coming up during the fight right towards the end of it, and they said, who have you got winning this fight? And it said, I think it said 74% of people were saying that the Dave Allen was winning the fight. I think that was right towards the end. Me personally, I also had Dave Allen winning the fight. I thought it was close, but I thought that Dave Allen was picking the better shots, whereas Johnny Fisher was more or less trying to rapid fire with shots, which a majority of them were being blocked by Dave Allen. I think that just comes down to experience. But me personally, I hate to do this thing where we always call fights robberies when they're close. It was a close fight at the end of the day, but I do think Dave Allen should have got the victory, even if it was like a scorecard that's 95-94 in favor of Dave Allen. That would have been acceptable. Even a draw, I think people would have said, okay, it was sort of a tale of two halves of the fight somewhat. So a draw seems somewhat okay, acceptable. But yeah, no, I think it was a bad decision. And my personal opinion is they need to have an immediate rematch. You got dropped. Like, look, if we take the knockdown away, I can see why they might be giving it to Johnny Fisher. But with the knockdown, that round itself goes in 2 points in Dave Allen's favor, because he was winning that round and he got the knockdown. So it's 2 extra points. And that's why I somewhat even agree with the judge that gave it 96-93 to Dave Allen, because of that factor there. So anyway, that's my thoughts, but I just think they should have a rematch immediately.
I always said this. I always say this, and I believe in it. The heavyweight game is on fire. So, with that being said, who knows what the future holds for Johnny Fisher and Dave Allen? But we would love to see a rematch. Let's see what happens. Anyway, let's quickly move on. Now, we had Serhii Bohachuk versus Ishmael Davis. Now, listen, let's be real. Before we get into this fight here, nobody really expected anything from Ishmael Davis. Win, lose, there was no expectations. Ishmael Davis took this fight on a 2-week notice. Do you know what I mean? So everyone was giving him credit for that. We knew it was a big step up from the get-go.
Yeah.
But he stepped up and he did his thing. So we gave him props for that. And there was nobody was even thinking of Ishmael Davis is going to win this fight. Nobody thought this. It was just a replacement, last-minute replacement. This is how boxing goes sometimes. You know what I mean? Anyways, let me talk about the fight itself. Round 1, opening round, Ishmael Davis looked sharp. He looked quick. I was thinking, okay, are we going to see an upset here? Or are we going to see this fight even go the distance? What's going on here? Because I'm not going to lie to you, even though Sir Bohachuk was the aggressor, even though he was front-footed, even though he was walking down Ishmael Davis, he couldn't really figure him out. He couldn't really figure him out, couldn't really time him properly, couldn't get to him the way he usually gets to his opponents. I mean, end of the day, he was training for Israel Madrimov.
Yeah.
And now he's got Ishmael Davis, who he probably doesn't even know or never even heard of. So it was quite difficult for Serhii to land the bombs that he wanted to land. You know what I mean? But that guy's a Terminator. He keeps on coming. He keeps on coming. He keeps on coming. And I think Ishmael Davis knew that from the get-go, from round 1. He knew that, oh damn, this guy is good. He's not gonna stop coming. And then round 2 came. I was thinking, okay, we saw the same thing in round 1. He's looking sharp. He's looking quick. Ishmael Davis. He's landing a few of his own shots. I'm thinking, okay, I'm pretty impressed. And then, bow!
Yeah.
Left hook, inside short left hook that drops Ishmael Davis, and an exchange of punches between both of them. You know what I mean? And I thought, oh my God, I just jinxed the fight. I jinxed the fight between Serhii and Davis. Damn, what did I do? And then, but to my surprise, Ishmael Davis got back up and he got back into the rhythm. You know what I mean? He got back into the rhythm, but I think after that knockdown, it was just downhill for him.
Yeah.
It was getting too much. Serhii Bohachuk was all over him, throwing absolute bombs on him. And come round 6, Ishmael Davis went to the corner and he shook his head to his corner, and his corner understood the assignment and said, you know what? It's done. We're calling the fight off. So big up to Ishmael Davis for even stepping up, and big up to his corner for calling the fight off. Let me just ask you your thoughts on this fight and whatnot.
Yeah, well, briefly, we'll start with Ishmael Davis. I think Ishmael Davis, he did what he could do for a 2-week training camp. He actually looked somewhat the better fighter in the first, I'd say, maybe 2-3 rounds. And then things started to change. But as we talked about in the last podcast, we said near enough every fight the Bahanchek wins, he normally wins by knockout. So we were kind of expecting to see the knockout. Of course, it would have been nice to see a more like a clean knockout and a clean stoppage. But sometimes fighters know where they're at and where their levels are at. And if they're just not ready to compete, then there's no point in just staying in there. I think the idea was when he got knocked down, let me just see if I can just stay in this till the end and give a good account of myself. But just thought after taking too many bombs, he just thought, you know what, I'm not going to win this and I might even get knocked out. So, you know what, let's just stop the fight now. So I think it was a good fight while it lasted. But for Ishmael Davis, he's just got to go in there with guys similar level, but have a full training camp, and then I believe he will look a lot better.
Most definitely. I mean, just take a look at Ishmael Davis's last fight against Josh Kelly. He took the fight on a 2-hour notice. Do you know what I mean? And now in this fight, he stepped up another level.
Yeah.
On a 2 weeks notice. So I believe, I totally agree with what you said. I agree that Ishmael Davis needs to go back to the drawing board and have a full training camp and fight guys at his level. He's had a taste of what it is to be at the top of the pyramid. He's had a taste of it now. He knows what he needs to bring. Do you know what I mean? So he needs to go back, get back into the rhythm. And Ishmael Davis is you know what? We got to give him. He's got balls. You know what I mean? The guy's got minerals because the proof is in the pudding. He's not scared to fight no one. Give him an hour notice, he's there. Give him a 1 week notice, he's there. You know what I mean? So big up to Ishmael Davis for even taking this fight. But this is boxing, and there's always levels to this sport. And Ishmael Davis, I think he's kind of got a picture of what level he's at and what level he needs to get to. But anyways, let's move on now. We had Moses Atima versus Dempsey McCain. Wow, where do we even start with this one? I mean, listen, we already knew before the fight that Moses Atima is a serious veteran. He's a serious candidate in this division. Moses Atima is a serious candidate in the heavyweight division. We already knew this before this fight was even made. You froze a bit. I thought you froze a bit. I thought maybe what's going on here. Yeah. Anyways, but we knew that Moses was a serious contender before we even came into this fight. Now, I always said this. I'm sure we said this on the last podcast. This fight was not going to go the distance. This fight was going to get stopped very shortly. That's what I believed, and that's what happened. Moses Atima, wow, 19-year-old kid. He's still a kid. He's a teenager, 19, teenager. And he went up against someone who's 32 years of age, a grown man. He went up against the giant, 6'6" Dempsey McCain. His last fight was against Filip Hrgović. So you see what kind of level of an opponent Dempsey McCain was. Now, on paper, this was Dempsey McCain. This was Moses Atima's hardest fight on paper. But damn, let's get onto the actual fight itself now. Whoa. Moses Atima came out, you know, he did his little prayer, round one, ding, ding, ding. It was clear from the get-go, the speed difference in the fighters, the punch power difference between the fighters. It was clear from the get-go. I think Dempsey McCain underestimated Moses because I think he must have thought to himself, 19-year-old kid, I'm 32, but I'm a grown man. I got grown power. I'm grown, you know what I mean? I'm a grown adult. I've got adult power. He's still a kid. What's he going to do to me? But I think he found out from the very first body shot that Moses landed on him and he went flying to the ropes. It was a straight jab to the body, and Dempsey went back to the rope. And I think from there he realized, oh my, this kid's got some power. And then what I liked about Moses Atima, it was he was going to the body, going top, feint to the body, up top, feint to the body, up top, and then bow, straight cross, dropped Dempsey McKean. The first punch dropped Dempsey McKean. Dempsey McKean was on the floor, and I think he said, "Oh my God, what's happened there? It's round one. What's going on here, bro? I'm Dempsey McKean. How the fuck am I on the floor? What's going on here?" He got back up, and it was the same punch that Moses landed the first time he dropped Dempsey. Same punch in the second knockdown, but the second knockdown was more cleaner, was more vicious, more violent, and Dempsey McKean could not recover and could not get back up. I don't know what happened. With his corner. His cornerman. I don't know what they was trying to do. They jumped up. They was trying to get in the ring. I don't know what that was about. But anyways, the referee called off the fight and said, "Yeah, Dempsey McKean, you're done, mate. Another first round victory for Moses Atima." Wow, what a performance. I mean, we can't really, the fight didn't go for long, so we can't really break down the fight so much. We can only break it down for what we saw in round one. But damn, let me ask you, what was your thoughts on this fight, bruv?
My thoughts on this fight were, it was a lot shorter than what I expected, you know. We talked about this before, that the step up is quite a lot. You're facing a guy who's 6'6". He's 32, like you said. He's in basically the prime of his career for a heavyweight. And you got another guy who's only had 10 fights versus a guy who's had, like, you know, coming up to, 25 or 30 odd fights, whatever it is. So the vast experience difference, I thought, would have got Dempsey McKean through a few more rounds. But as we've seen, Moses Atima is no joke. The guy, he carries power in both hands, technically brilliant, and he showed that in the ring. I think it was just a matter of time before when, like, that first knockdown landed. It was quite an interesting knockdown because if you watch it back, Moses went for the right hand, and what happened is Dempsey kind of ducked down a little bit, and because it ducked down, it kind of hit him in the back of the head. So that was the first knockdown. But the second knockdown, oh God, that was a peach of a shot. It was perfect. It was right on the side of his head, so flush and so clean. And I already knew when I saw that second one, the fight was going to be over. There was no chance for him. So, like you said, it's hard to break down the fight when it lasted such a short space of time. But what I will say is we do know that Moses Atima is definitely a rising star. He's definitely got knockout power. Those are two things that we can clearly see from this particular fight. But I have to be honest, I want them to put him in next with someone who's going to be a bit more durable, a bit more tough, someone who's known to be tough and durable. Maybe find an opponent who's had a few losses maybe, but has never been stopped before, because that'll see if he can get his mark, see if he can get his stoppage against one of those more tougher, durable guys. And that'll really show us where he's at. If he can do that, then it's going to be good for him, because I believe it will take him longer rounds to stop them. And that gives him more boxing, which enables us to see where he's really at with his boxing technique and his defensive technique as well. Because as you and I know, boxing is not just about being able to have knockout power. You need to have all the different assets to your game to be a complete fighter.
I mean, like you said, boxing is not just about power. Boxing is about ability, skills. Boxing is a sport of science. Now, with that being said, we know that Moses has got power in his hands. We know that Moses is fast. I mean, those two combinations are perfect recipe to be a successful heavyweight. But anyways, like you said, we want to see him against someone who's durable, someone who's got maybe a few losses on his record. But then again, we have to ask ourselves the question: Moses Atima is high risk, low reward.
Yeah.
And who's really gonna want to take that fight? It doesn't make any sense. I mean, who can we name right now? Fraser Clark, Fabio Wardley, David Adelaide, Solomon Dakers, like.
It was supposed to be Johnny Fisher if Johnny Fisher got the victory. And we have to remember he did actually get the victory. So they might still have that fight. And you and I both know who's winning that fight after watching him fight Dave Allen.
Yeah, most definitely.
I don't think Johnny Fisher's got a chance against Moses Atima after watching that fight against Dave Allen. But I still think he should have the rematch.
I agree with you. I feel like Johnny Fisher should either have the rematch with Dave Allen or move on and fight another warm-up fight, trash can, journeyman. You know what I mean? For Moses Atima now, I had a few fights in mind that made sense, but I'm thinking maybe these fights are a bit too early. But I had one guy in mind, Richard Torres Jr. from America.
Ooh.
Now, both men are undefeated. Both men have got the similar records. Both men are rising stars. Both men have got power in their hands. But I'm thinking, is this fight just a little bit premature? Because I feel like sometimes you got to build up the hype. It's end of the day, boxing. It's a business. You got to build up the hype. Let Torres do his thing in America, build up his name. Let Moses do his thing, build up his name, and then boom. Once they reach world level, make them clash.
Yeah,
but exactly. I'm thinking maybe right now it's a bit too premature. With that being said, if it's too premature, then who's Moses going to fight next? We know that Moses is a superstar. We know Moses is going to be a world champion. We know this already. But the fact is, how fast is he going to get there? You know what I mean? Is he gonna stick to the left lane, which is slow, the middle lane, which is okay-ish, or the right lane, which is fast? And I actually heard rumors in the boxing world that the next fight is between Moses and Philip Hrgovic.
What?
Yeah, that's what I've heard. I've heard the next fight is to be held with Moses Atima versus Philip Hrgovic.
That's a tough fight. Oh, that's
Moses. Yeah, and Moses said, "Listen, bring it on. I'm ready." And we know Philip Hrgovic struggles against southpaws.
Yeah.
He struggled against Zhilei Zhang. He kind of struggled against Dempsey McKinn until he got into his rhythm. But Moses Atima, boy, that's gonna be a stew.
Hell of a fight, man. That would be brilliant.
Do you know what I mean? But anyways, listen, 2025 is gonna be a great year. Let's not get too carried away. Let's see what the future holds. Let's move on now to the main event card itself. The main event card itself was between Oleksandr Usyk versus Tyson Fury in the rematch. The long-awaited, the long-anticipated. It was you know what? Let's just talk about the build-up itself. It was perfect. You know, sometimes the build-up is better than the fight. Sometimes the promos are better than the actual fight itself. But this was perfect. Perfect build-up, face-offs, drama, hoo-ha, rah-rah, and then the fight itself, it was perfect. It was perfect. If you paid money for it, you would be happy, bro. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's move on now. Let's go into the actual fight itself. Now, going into the fight, we saw what happened in the weigh-in. Tyson Fury weighed around 60 pounds heavier than Oleksandr Usyk, which, if I'm not mistaken, that's around 3.5 stones, 4 stones. Heavier. That's a lot of weight. That's a lot of weight advantage. You know what I mean? Damn, Daniel. I thought, you know what? But you know what? In this, let me just tell you quickly. I actually made a bet on this night. You know, I made a bet on the 21st. I put a bet down. I put a bet on Lee McGregor. He won. I put a bet down on Johnny Fisher. He won. I put a bet down on Moses. He won. And but the only thing that I made a mistake was when I put a bet on Tyson Fury, bro. You know what I mean? Now, I put a bet on Tyson Fury solely because I went with my heart instead of my head.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I chose my heart. I didn't listen to my head. I chose my heart and I betted on Tyson Fury. When I should have known better to bet on Oleksandr Usyk, but I went with my heart. You know what I mean? One off the Brit. But imagine the return was a monkey, and I messed it all up, bro, because I placed it on Tyson Fury, bro. You know what I mean? Anyways, let's get back onto the actual fight itself. So now, the fight itself now, Tyson Fury had all the advantages, you know what I mean? He had the height, the reach, the weight, everything was in his favor. He's the younger fighter. I'm sure he's 2 years younger than Oleksandr Usyk. Everything was in Tyson Fury's favor in this fight. Do you know what I mean? The big man could have bullied the little man. That's what Tyson Fury always used to say to Oleksandr Usyk, rabbit. Now, if he's a rabbit, you must be an elephant. And an elephant is not scared of a rabbit, is it? You know what I mean? The elephant will squash the rabbit, but we didn't see that in this fight, so clearly he's not a rabbit. Anyway, let's move on to the actual fight itself now. It was a close fight. I'm not gonna lie to you. It was a close fight. I think the first meaningful punch, the first one, I think they were just testing waters. I feel like Tyson Fury came out strong. I'm thinking, okay, we're gonna see a different version of Tyson Fury. But I always had in the back of my mind, this guy's big, heavy. He better get Oleksandr Usyk out from the early rounds, because once it goes past round 6, you're fucked.
Yeah.
And that's just what happened. Round 2, I think Tyson Fury landed the first meaningful punch, which I remember was a double jab cross.
Yeah.
Which was clean. I was like, okay. Then the next round, Oleksandr Usyk came out with a left hook. The next round, Tyson Fury came with the uppercut. I think it was round 6 when Oleksandr Usyk wobbled Tyson Fury. It was action packed back and forth, you know what I mean, between both fighters. And obviously after round 6, it was all Oleksandr Usyk.
Yeah.
Oleksandr Usyk, you know what I mean, did his thing, outlanded Tyson Fury. Landed the cleaner punches, more meaningful punches on Tyson Fury. Oleksandr Usyk landed combination shots. That's what we saw in this fight. Tyson Fury was only landing the 1-2. We didn't see Tyson Fury land combinations on Oleksandr Usyk. But that's what made a clear difference for me in this fight. Is I saw Oleksandr Usyk landing combination shots. It wasn't just a 1-2 in and out. It was 1-2 in and out combination. Do you know what I mean? Whereas Tyson Fury, I think he was too big and he was too slow to even land any combos. The best he could have done is the uppercut. Do you know what I mean? The uppercut, the jab cross. That's his best punches. Jab cross, uppercut. Anyways, come to the judges' scorecards now. This is the judges' scorecards. All 3 judges scored in favor for Oleksandr Usyk, which was 116-112. I'm not gonna lie to you. I feel like Tyson Fury deserved a little bit more, but I'm not a judge. I don't know how they scored it. And even speaking of judges, did you know there was a 4th judge?
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
the AI judge, the artificial intelligence judge. Even the artificial intelligence judge scored it 118-112. So, I mean, pretty sick to see an AI score such accurate fights.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I believe the right man won. Oleksandr Usyk did enough to beat Tyson Fury. It was a close fight, but Oleksandr Usyk did enough to beat Tyson Fury. I know Frank Warren was having issues. He was crying. Yeah, but I kind of get it. I mean, do you get me? But let me ask you, what was your thoughts on this fight, bruv, between Tyson Fury and Oleksandr?
Well, it was a long awaited rematch. A lot of people have been waiting for this. I know there were a lot of Tyson Fury fans that were out there. You know, myself included. I'm a fan of boxing first and foremost, but I'm also a Tyson Fury fan. And I was hoping he could pull it out the bag. But if you remember my prediction last week, I just thought it would be a very similar story to the last fight. And to tell you the truth, it somewhat was very similar to the last fight. The 2 fights, the only difference I saw was the knockdown. I had Oleksandr Usyk winning the fight also. In the early stages, it looked like Tyson Fury was coming on strong. I gave Usyk the first round. I think I gave Fury the second round. And then maybe the 3rd I gave to Usyk. 4th I gave to Fury. 5th I gave to Fury. 6th I gave to Usyk. But by round 7, this is when I already knew it was too late. Because I was looking at Tyson Fury and I was looking at how many shots is he actually throwing? How much is he pressing the action? How many times is he trying to land a big shot or a big bomb? And I think it was round 7, he barely threw any shots. I mean, I think that goes back to what you said about him weighing really heavy. I know that they said he was like 280 odd pounds, but he had a lot of clothes on. I think he was closer to about 273, around there. So it was heavy, but it wasn't quite that much heavy. But I still think that did affect him in the later rounds. And by round 7, I just knew what was going to happen, because if you know anything about Oleksandr Usyk, he traditionally always starts slow. He doesn't throw his combinations in the earlier rounds. He normally picks you with 1 shot here, 2 shots there, body shot there, head shot there. But when it gets to the later rounds, that's when he knows he's starting to tire you out physically, mentally, and then he starts landing those combinations. And I have to be honest, overall, the fight was good. Overall, I did think the fight was quite close, but I do think the right man won. Oleksandr Usyk was a clear winner. I don't think anybody could argue. It wasn't a completely dominant victory by Oleksandr Usyk, but it was obvious that he was the winner. I don't think there's anybody out there that could argue that that was not a conclusive victory. So fair play to Oleksandr Usyk. He's now proved himself to be not just one of the greats of this era, but one of the greats of any era, because he's now a two-weight undisputed in cruiserweight and in heavyweight. And he could put himself anywhere in history. I think that makes Oleksandr Usyk now, you know, a Hall of Famer. We know he was undisputed before, but this is just re-cementing his position to show it wasn't a fluke against Fury the first time. It was a proper performance in this fight and the last fight. So congratulations to Usyk. For Tyson Fury, lastly concluding on Fury, I think he gave what he could give. I think he gave his all. He tried to do what he could and he came up short. There's no harm in fighting the best and losing to the best. He gave it what he could. So, you know, you've got to say, give it up to Tyson for at least taking the rematch and trying what he could do. But where does he go from here on out? Now, this is the interesting thing, because now that Oleksandr Usyk has sort of conquered the division, Fury's got sort of nowhere to go, because that fight with AJ was going to be really big if Fury was able to win and then potentially win in a rematch in another rematch as well, in a trilogy fight. But now it kind of puts the heavyweight division in a weird sort of position. If Fury and AJ fight now, it's still going to be a big fight, but it's not going to be that big. They both have now had 2 losses to the same guy, and they've both lost recently. AJ losing to Dubois and Fury losing, you know, to Usyk twice. So people are now no longer that interested for that AJ Fury fight. So I don't know how much Fury's got left. I don't think Fury's going to want to go out there and fight like a load of low-level guys to sort of get himself back into the picture again. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see Tyson Fury just say, I've had enough, and just hang up the gloves. Although there is a small chance he might still have that fight with AJ. What do you think about that?
I mean, listen, Oleksandr Usyk, Tyson Fury, they both made generational money. The money that they've made just from these 2 fights alone, they can retire, set off in the sunset, and never be seen again. Do you know what I mean? But both men are fighting men. Both men love to fight. Tyson Fury, Gypsy King, you know, Traveler, Gypsy, they love fighting, bro. And fighting and getting paid, he loves it. But it is going to be a hard loss on Tyson Fury. He might go back to the dark side, you know, the dark side, you get me? And he might be on a, because we saw what happened in the last fight against him and Oleksandr Usyk when he lost, you know, drinking, getting drunk, being all over on the floor. Do you know what I mean? So my thing is, what's going to happen to Tyson Fury next? Is he going to go back to that dark time, or is he going to go and say, you know what, fuck it, let's go have that fight with AJ? Because let's be real, if that fight was to take place with AJ in Wembley Stadium, it will still sell out.
Definitely.
Wembley Stadium will still sell out, but obviously, always in the back of our mind, it'll be the title, the battle of the losers.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So the hype has kind of died down, if I'll be honest with you. And it's been long overdue. The fight we've been asking for so long, it's not happened. For whatever reason, it's not happened. And I believe it's not going to happen anyway. That's that. I feel like Tyson Fury should retire. Oleksandr Usyk, like you said, one of the greatest of our eras. He's got nothing to prove. What's he got to prove? He's beat everyone. Do you know what I mean? He's done his thing. Olympian, amateur. He sees amateur record crazy.
350 odd fights.
Do you know what I mean? Now he's in the pro game. Like, bro, he's done everything that a boxer could ask for.
Yeah.
So my thing is, fuck it. Go and retire. You've got nothing to prove. Finish your record on a perfect.
Yeah, might as well.
Do you know what I mean? Why? Might as well, bro. You've done your thing. Everyone that you've beat. you've conquered it, bro. Do you know what I mean? So my thing is, there's nothing much for Oleksandr Usyk to do. He should go and retire and enjoy time with his family on that. You know what I mean?
I agree with that, actually.
Yeah, man. So that's our recap, our review for the 21st Oleksandr Usyk versus Tyson Fury Riyadh season, baby. Yeah, Saved by the Bell. Bosh. All right, my people, since this will be the last podcast of the year, damn, that is crazy. 2024 is done.
Yeah.
But this will be the last podcast of the year. And on that note, we're going to quickly give you our thoughts just on the year, the fights, the cards, Turkey or Shake. But before we get into that, let's talk about Ring Magazine. Now, Turkey or Shake has taken over Ring Magazine. It was previously owned by Oscar de la Hoya. I'm sure Turkey paid around $10 million to Oscar to be basically the boss, the head of this the head of this Ring Magazine. I'm sure Oscar bought it for 7 million when he first bought it, so he made like what, 3 million profit. How can you go wrong, bro? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get back into it. Ring Magazine, it's been around for 102 years.
Yeah.
It's been around for a long time. It's been around before World War One, World War Two, the Vietnam War. Do you get me? The collapse of the Soviet Union. It's been around and it survived, and it's here, 102 years later. Now, the whole purpose of Turkey getting back involved, getting this back, is because Ring Magazine is basically the holy Mecca. It's the Bible of boxing.
Yeah.
Now, for a very long time, Ring Magazine was publishing paper magazines, physical copies that you could purchase. You know what I mean? For like every month, you'll get a new Ring Magazine. But since everything has gone digital, there's no use for paper, is it? Well, that's what everyone thought.
Yeah.
But there's always a special meaning to having a physical copy, flicking through. You know what I mean? Coming off your phone, put your phone to the side, just flicking through the pages. You know what I mean? Reading it. It's always a different type of feeling, and Turkey has brought it back. So thank you to Turkey for bringing back the Ring Magazine. I mean, listen, this is what it's all about. If you think about it, the Ring Magazine belt, some people love that belt more than the WBO belts, WBA, IBO, IBF, WBC.
Yeah.
The Ring Magazine is the real deal, you know what I mean? Because it's got so much meaning behind it. But yeah, man, I'm happy that Ring Magazine's back. The first copy was obviously with Oleksandr Usyk, Tyson Fury rematch. I'm sure it's already been published, but it's only been limited edition. So that's a collector's edition.
Yeah.
Of course, starting from 2025, we're gonna see many more magazines come out every month. I think you got to have a subscription or something to be getting these, or you can just buy them from the shop. But anyways, as of that, we're gonna find out very shortly what happens. Ring Magazine has obviously launched their social media platforms, which means they're gonna be doing like same thing as IFL TV, Box Nation, you know what I mean? King Media and all these type of things. So they're going to be doing the same thing. They've brought it back. They're going to launch their website soon. It's going to be crazy. Yeah, what's in Turkey or Sheikh has brought back Ring Magazine. And let me ask you, what's your thoughts on this, bruv?
But my thoughts on this are, this is absolutely brilliant because, like you said, you know, Ring Magazine has been around for such a long time, and it's the go-to place for boxing information, you know, long before the world of the internet and stuff like that, the world of TV even. You were able to get all your boxing news in the Ring Magazine. And I think it has slowly sort of died away over a period of time. You know, people are less interested in having magazines over a period of time because they can get their news online and they can get it on TV and stuff like that. But having that physical copy, like you said, there's just something different about having that physical copy, and special. You know, they put such beautiful illustrations in there, and amazing photographs in some of their Ring Magazine covers. And it's one of those things, you know, if you have a book, there's places you can take it and you can read it. Whereas if it's technology with a phone or a tablet or something like that, you can't as an example, you can't read online if you're going on a plane. You can't read online if you're going in the underground, but you can if you have a Ring magazine. So yeah, I think it's a brilliant thing to be bringing back. I did also hear about what you mentioned about them launching their new website. I heard they're also going to be launching some interactive boxing games as well. So that's something that's going to be coming to the Ring magazine. And once again, we just have this all to thank Turkey Al Sheikh. I mean, this guy's just doing wonders for boxing. I think he's going to be a great new owner. And the fantastic thing as well is he's made Oscar de la Hoya the ambassador. So Oscar de la Hoya still will stay a main part of the company. He's been paid a large sum of money. So it's all good news all round from Ring Magazine. And we can only look forward to what's coming up next year with the Ring Magazine.
Speaking of next year, let's do a quick recap of this year. I mean, listen, 2024, I said it before. I've mentioned this to you from a long time. This is the year for boxing. This is the year for combat sports, bro. I'm telling you, and this is exactly what happened. Boxing went on a trajectory like this. It was like this, and it
took off like a rocket.
Boxing in 2024 took off like a rocket. I'm talking from early January. Yeah. It was crazy to see that the turnaround boxing has done. Do you know what I mean? It's absolutely crazy, and I'm loving every single bit of it. I mean, just think about all the great fights that we've had this year.
So many fights.
How many undisputed fights? How many unified fights we've had this year? How many crossover fights we had this year?
I think we've had about 5 undisputed fights this year. No.
And imagine
4. I think no, 4. My bad. I think it's 4.
And imagine if this was 5 years ago, mate, you were lucky to even get one undisputed fight in like 2-3 years. You know what I mean? Let alone 4 or 5 in 1 year. That is absolutely crazy. I mean, let me just ask you quickly some quick fire questions. What's your favorite fight of 2024?
My favorite fight has to be. Now, it was quite one-sided, but my favorite fight has to be Errol Spence Jr. versus Terence Crawford for the undisputed. The reason why I'm picking that as the fight is because I think this is a fight that a lot of people wanted to see for such a long time. And I think a lot of people thought we almost weren't going to see this fight. And we eventually did see the fight. And wow, it was a spectacular fight while it lasted. And, you know, Terence Crawford really proved himself to be the great champion that he is now, undisputed in 2 weight classes as well. So, yeah, that's the fight that I highlight from the year. How about yourself? Which fight were you thinking about?
You know, there's only one fight in my mind that I got to pick. And the fight is Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor. That's my fight of the year. Absolutely crazy. And my reason for picking these 2 women is because, you know, these 2 women are the frontier of women's boxing. You know what I mean? These 2 are at the top of the pyramid. Do you know what I mean? First time they fought was in Madison Square Gardens. It's never been done before. They headlined the show. It's never been done before. The second time they fought on Netflix, they broke down Netflix. Netflix broke down. That's how much views Netflix got when these 2 are fighting each other. It's absolutely crazy to see the women's boxing is taking off like a rocket, just as much as the men's boxing is. The women's boxing is getting so much recognition. They're getting a lot of money now. They're getting a lot of fame, a lot of clout. Just take a look at the amount of female fighters that we've got right now. Sky Nicholson, Alicia Baumgardner, Clarissa Shields. We've got Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor, Chantel Cameron. We've got Sandy Ryan, Michaela Mayer. The list goes on and on and on. There's so many great women fighters now, and I'm glad that the women fighters are getting their recognition that they deserve, and they're getting, most importantly, the paycheck that they deserve. So yeah, man, that's my thoughts on that. Quickly, I'll ask you another one. Your favorite knockout of the year?
Ooh. Cool.
What's your favorite knockout of 2024?
Ooh. Oh, that's a hard one because I've seen so many different knockouts. I can't really think off the top of my head which one I'm gonna go for, man, because there've just been so many knockouts. But I do actually like that most recent knockout from Moses Atoma off the top of my head. I guess it's because it's fresh in memory, but
Yeah.
I like the way he just hit him flush and then he dropped down and then Dempsey McKean kind of folded onto his ankle kind of in a weird, awkward body position. So yeah, now that was a good one. I'm sure there's better ones if I had some time to think about it, but just off the top of my head, I'm a bit blank if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm gonna give you two. I'm gonna give you two. I know I said one, but what's going on here? Where's these balloons coming from? What's going on here? Okay, but I'm gonna give you two. I know I said one, but I'm gonna give you two. So the first one I'll give is when AJ knocked out Francis Ngannou.
Oh yeah, down. That was a
That
good.
was a naughty, naughty knockout. Now we know Francis Ngannou is not a professional boxer, but still, it was
Yeah,
the it was called the fight itself. The event itself was called Knockout Chaos, and
yeah,
that's exactly what we got. We got a Knockout Chaos. The way AJ dealt with Francis Ngannou,
yeah.
that was crazy. That was scary. That
Both.
was scary. And then I'll give you another one. I think this has to be my favorite knockout of the year. Are you ready for it?
Go for it.
Drum roll.
Oh,
Fabio Wardley knocking out Fraser Clark
oh yeah,
and breaking his temporal bone.
yeah. How did I forget that? See how the mind goes blank sometimes. That was a wicked knockout, man.
That
That
was
showed
absolutely crazy.
that was
That
crazy, man.
that was a naughty, naughty knockout. So my favorite knockouts for 2024 have got to be when Anthony Joshua knocks out Francis Ngannou, and my other favorite knockout's got to be is when Fabio Wardley knocks out Fraser Clark and breaks his temporal bone. Those are my favorite knockouts of 2024. And I'll ask you one more while I'm at it.
One more knockout. Oh
No, not
man.
one more, not one more knockout. I was gonna ask you another question, but one more.
Okay, go on.
Um, who was your favorite fighter of 2024?
My favorite fighter.
Yeah,
Hmm.
who was your favorite fighter of 2024?
There's a lot of good mentions, I think, but I'm gonna have to give it to Inoue. Because I think
Oh,
Inoue, he's probably been the most active. He's conquered one I think was it one undisputed or two undisputeds in 1 year. I could be wrong. I think maybe it's two in 2 years, but I know he definitely did one undisputed in 1 year, and I believe he's been probably the most active fighter. So I'm gonna give that to Inoue, I think.
okay. It's got to go to Usyk. It has to go to Oleksandr Usyk. That's my favorite fighter of the year. Do you know what I mean? Oleksandr Usyk was my favorite fighter of 2024. I mean, just look at what he's done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's absolutely crazy. So I'll ask you just a couple of more. Can you hear me, G?
Yeah, I can.
All right, cool. Favorite prospect of 2024?
Oh, favorite prospect. Hmm. Everything just keeps going back to Moses Atoma because it's so fresh in my mind. I keep thinking about Moses Atoma, but there's a lot
Yeah.
of there's a lot of good prospects out there. But I'm just trying to think of one who I think is really probably going to make it. There's so many, but if I have to pin down one, I'm probably going to go with. No, I can't because that I was gonna go with Bam, but Bam's not a prospect. He's more like rising star now. He's already
Yeah.
champion and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think someone like I've gone blank again, man. I can't even think off the top of my head. So many fights I watch and I can't even think.
It's cool. Let me help you out. Let me help you out.
Fun.
Um, You know what? I feel like me and you, we always agree on the same things. So I'm sure the names that I'm gonna mention are gonna be like, yeah, this is who I was gonna pick anyway. I mean, from let's pick two from America. Let's pick Kamel Mutton. That's one. Richard Torres Jr., that's another one.
Yeah.
Let's move back home. We got to pick Moses Atima. He's definitely a prospect.
Yeah.
Sky Nicholson. We got to give one to the ladies.
Guy Nicholson, yeah. I didn't even think about the ladies for a minute, to be honest.
You know what I mean? Yeah, let's leave it as that. And I want to ask you one last thing. What do you want to see in 2025?
2025. It's going to be an interesting year. 2025. There's a lot.
What fight would you like to see? What matchups do you want to see in 2025?
Oh, matchups. In the heavyweight division, I'd like to see Fabio Wardley get moved up, I think. Fabio Wardley's probably in that region of, he's kind of a prospect, but he's kind of a rising star, but he's a bit later on in his development. So I think Fabio Wardley, I'd like to see Fabio Wardley in a fight with someone like a Martin Bakole. Because I think Fabio Wardley, he's a top fighter and he's proved himself. But I like to see him step up to that level that's just a little bit below the champions. And I think Bakole is sort of almost on that champion level. He's sort of just a little bit under that. So I think that would be a good fight to see. Martin Bakole versus...
The boogeyman of boxing.
Yeah, bro. Martin Bakole, he doesn't get enough credit because he hasn't got a good promotional team. But if he was signed with like a Matchroom or Top Rank, or especially like with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom, like he would get good promotion, he would get good fights and stuff like that. So I'd like to see more Martin Bakole next year as well. How about you? Which fight would you like to see next year?
I mean, there's only one fight in my mind that I want to see, but I don't know if it's going to take place because of... But it could take place. If they really wanted to, it could take place. Are you ready for it?
I think I know what you're going to say.
Yeah. The fight that I want to see in 2025 get made is between Canelo Alvarez and David Benavidez.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. That is a good one. That's not actually the fight. I thought you were going to say Fury versus AJ.
You know what? The hype for that has kind of died down.
It has. This is a much fight. Canelo
It's almost like making a cup of tea and then you leave it to the side and you left it there for about an hour. When you taste it, it's not going to taste right, is it?
No.
That's the same thing with AJ and Fury. It's like popping a fizzy can. You pop it. If you leave it out for about 2-3 hours, all the fizz is going to go away. The fizz has gone away. The taste may remain the same, but the fizz has gone away. That's the same thing with Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury. The fizz has gone away. Do you know what I mean? It's too late now. You left it too late. It's like Amir Khan versus Kell Brook. You left it too late.
Sure.
But yeah, man. Anyways, that was a quick wrap up of 2024. Some quick fire questions. I know the minds are a bit blank at the moment, but it's so good. Lastly, we got to give a big thank you, a big shout out to one man.
Yeah.
The face of boxing, the savior of boxing, the king of boxing.
Right now, yeah.
Turkey Al-Sheikh, the man, the myth, the legend. Yeah, the man has made enemies come together and make it work. Eddie Hearn, Frank Warren. He's made them come together. So listen, put your big pants on and let's get these fights crack-a-lacking. The man that's throwing money at these fighters and getting these fights made. There's no excuses now. There's no excuses. What's the fighters going to argue about? The money? The money's there. Oh, the money is there. There's no excuses. Turkey Al-Sheikh is making things happen. And this is crazy because it's only been in the space of 1 year. This is all taking place. Absolutely crazy. Absolutely mental what he's done in the space of 1 year. Undisputed Game has come out. Turkey Al-Sheikh is involved in that.
Yeah.
Turkey Al-Sheikh has been involved in many great fights. Many mega blockbuster fights. Crawford, Israel Madrimov, Usyk, Fury, AJ, Francis Ngannou. Like, if I was to go into it, the list goes on and on and on. And not to mention what he's got planned for 2025. We've got a big one coming, February 22nd.
Yes.
Parker, Daniel Dubois, Beterbiev, Bivol, Hamza Shiraz, Adimez. Whoa.
Carlos Dames, yeah, that's a brilliant
Whoa.
fight.
Listen. I just want to quickly ask you, what's your thoughts on Turkey being involved in the sport of boxing? What do you make of Riyadh season? Talk to us.
Yeah, well, first of all, we've got to just say a massive thanks to Turkey Al Sheikh, because if you really look at where boxing was before he came back into it, boxing was not in a good place at all. It was really down in the dumps. It was really not going the way people wanted to see it going. It was in a place where people were losing a lot of interest from the boxing world, because what's really going on is, the top fights were not being made. The promoters were just doing the promotion and promoting their fighters as though they're fighting all the best fighters, but really they're not. They're avoiding all the top people, and all the best fights were just going to waste. And like you said, we were getting the fights like Amir Khan, Kell Brook, at a point in their careers where they were pretty much almost shouldn't even still be fighting anymore. So the interest had died down so much. And with Turkey Al Sheikh coming back, he's really brought that spark back into boxing. Like you said, he's involved in the undisputed game. He actually comes and gives you the undisputed title when you win it. So, yeah, he's got his hands in many different pies, as they say, in the boxing world. And I'm all for it, because he's doing what we've all wanted to see as boxing fans, and that's make all the best fighters fight the best fights on the biggest stage, in the biggest arenas, with the most glamorous events possible. So massive thank you to Turkey Al Sheikh. And we just got to be so happy he chose the sport of boxing and not some other sport, because we're really getting everything that we can possibly ask for. So yeah, man, very happy, very happy.
Big thank you, big shout out to Turkey Al Sheikh, Saudi. You know what I mean? Hopefully they see us in the Riyadh season card. Hopefully Turkey sees this video and puts us on as well. Do you know what I mean? Because shit, we got the skills to pay the bills as well, just as much as the fighters do. You know what I mean? Because we don't sugarcoat nothing. We keep it real. And I think Turkey likes when people keep it real. So this podcast, Saved by the Bell, this is going to be one of the best boxing channels for 2025. I said this. Dark Side has said this. So make sure you lot stay tuned. 2024, it's a wrap. Anyways, you suckers, we'll see you next year. Bosh! Yes, my dude.